Hi, everyone. Welcome to your library orientation. We are going to have a look at the electronic resources that are available to you through San Joaquin Delta's library. You are first going to go to the Delta College website. That's deltacollege.edu, and you're going to find our library services. You can mouse over where it says services, and you can go down to library. Over here in academics also, you can find a library there. Either of those are going to take you to the library homepage. Here on the library homepage, scroll down a little bit, you can find out things like what are the library's hours. Here's the phone number if you wanted to get in touch with a librarian. They have frequently asked questions, and they even have a chat function if you want to speak to a research librarian. Research librarians are very useful in helping you find high-quality sources or helping you cite sources, although using the databases, which I'm going to show you, it makes it a lot easier to cite your sources. I'm not sure if they're answering the phones or if they have someone manning the chat right now since the campus is closed, though. But you will have the opportunity to contact people during the research process. Now, you have the ability to search for books and e-books, e-content over here. Just searching the reserves. If it's a book, you'd have to actually go and pick it up. What I'm going to be focused on more than books or e-books are the library's databases, which I'm going to be showing you. You can access those by clicking the electronic databases link here, or you can go where it says search collections, and you see, there's the library catalog electronic databases. And there, before we do that, though, I do want to show you a specific useful LibGuide or library guide that you may want to have a look through. So over here in LibGuides, we have library guides set up by librarians for specific subjects and for specific classes. I went over here to by type and where it says general purpose, and I'm going to scroll down. Let's see here, where it says... these are a lot of general purpose library guides, and they can be useful to you if you want to know anything about GoCat or electronic resources, about specific databases that I'm going to talk about, like JSTOR or things like that. Plagiarism, preventing plagiarism, citing sources in MLA, study skills generally, research preparation. All of these are useful. Specifically, I was going to show you, it's under a course guide here. If you scroll down to 1A, English 1A, an online library workshop. This is a library guide that was set up by the faculty library coordinator for English 1A classes. So you have a general welcome page here that talks about what it's going to cover. It has a link to the library website. Over here under library resources and services, you see, it's again linking to the library. These, for some reason, it's just a little dot here, but these are links to the main library page and the databases page, which we're going to visit later. This is a link to the login from off campus. So if you are visiting the library page and you want to search the databases, you are going to have to log in with your email's username and your email password. You don't have to come find this and do it here, though. If you are just accessing a database, before you can access the databases, it will ask you to log in, so you should be prompted to log in. She talks about the research process here, steps for starting a research paper, choosing a topic of interest, develop a few research questions, those guiding questions that I talked about in class as well as in my other video lecture, identifying keywords or phrases from your topic, so finding those search terms. You should have been doing that during your brainstorming worksheet that I gave you. Follow the research process to conduct keyword phrases in GoCat in your online databases. So step one, you're going to be finding materials, right? Searching the databases for materials. We'll talk about which databases. Step two, finding academic journals and articles from online databases. So they separate these as different steps. first find books, then find articles. You don't have to have books, but there is something to be said for preliminary research or exploratory research, and that means kind of some different databases from the ones where you're going to find academic journal articles. So I will be pointing out where you find academic journal articles, spending time evaluating the material that you find. Any sources you're thinking of using, you need to evaluate. You should see my video lecture on source evaluation to understand that. And, as you integrate it and draw from it and use that source material in your paper, you're going to be citing it. And there are resources here on the website for citing things correctly. If you're using sources from the databases, though, they give you the correct citations. So evaluation and citation, all this stuff, finding reputable sources on your topic. So they recommend, they mention some research tools here, CQ Researcher, Opposing Viewpoints, but notice what it says here: conduct preliminary search in these databases, Opposing Viewpoints and CQ Researcher. These are useful resources when we talk about exploratory research. They are just giving you overviews of topics. They give you like pros and cons on the topics, or supporters say this and opponents say that. CQ Researcher is like a Wikipedia article on some topics. You should not be using articles you find in these databases as your main support at all in your essays. In your research proposals, I don't want to see any sources from Opposing Viewpoints or CQ Researcher on your rough drafts and final drafts. You'll lose points if you're using overview articles from Opposing Viewpoints and CQ Researcher. These are just for background reading, to understand a topic, or to help you settle on what your argument is going to be. So she says here, then you would develop keywords to use as searches when you go to other databases like JSTOR. That's the big one where you're going to find high quality sources. So it says here, this is preliminary research, and then use your search terms to narrow down your search results to current scholarly peer-reviewed journal articles. This is what you need to have in your essay. You need to be drawing from high quality sources, and at least one of them needs to be peer-reviewed. So we will talk about where you find peer-reviewed sources. One of them is JSTOR. There are some other ones, but we'll talk about those. And it talks about writing an annotated bibliography here. So it even gives you an example. Here's an MLA citation, and then you start talking about the source. The source that you just cited, telling things about it, summarizing it, or explaining its usefulness. This is what you're going to be doing in your research proposal, in addition to explaining your topic and coming up with a working thesis statement. So that's a good example. I'll give you another example when I'm showing you the high quality databases. And there's some resources here for citation. So let's go back here to where it says Opposing Viewpoints in Context and CQ Researcher. You can access them from this library guide, but I want to go back to the library homepage and show you where you can find the databases. Oh, that's the homepage for this library guide. So we're going to go back here, and then we are going to go, okay, we're back at the library homepage, and we're going to the electronic databases. And we're going to go to A to Z databases, right? So you can find any of them over here. But look, the popular databases over here, you can find. I'm surprised they're not there under popular. But yeah, if you look for Opposing Viewpoints, see here, there are types. I'm surprised they're not under popular databases, but if you go over here to O, you're going to see Opposing Viewpoints in Context. Let's open that one up. And you see over here in C, you see CQ Researcher. Let's open that one up, and I'll show you these. Even though I don't want to see you using them as sources in your paper, I don't want to see you putting them on your annotated bibliography, your annotated works cited in the research proposal. These can help you to figure out your topic and to figure out your thesis. So say you come here. Yeah, it's having me log in. See? These have overviews of lots of different topics. Look, the presidency, different pros and cons articles, current situation, chronology, browse topics, right? And you can look under a certain bigger topics. Let's say, for example, you wanted to write about immigration, and maybe family separation at the border, which was a big topic earlier this year. So you don't have a specific article talking about it's talking about refugee crisis, and that's a new article that might be useful. But we do have articles on immigration, and you can look up immigration specifically. And you can see this was earlier this year, immigration policy. And it's giving you, this is a really big topic, right? It has an author's name, but this was written for the database, CQ Researcher. That's why it doesn't show a lot of research depth. It's like you just pulled up one website and saw what it had to say about different topics. But it can help you to understand your topic well. You read about immigration policy, and it has citations to sources, and you can find other sources through these. It's talking about like ICE enforcement. It talks about a lot of subtopics. The border wall. Maybe you're thinking about immigration. This might help you to narrow it down to a more specific thing. Sanctuary cities, things like that. And it might send you in the direction of better sources. But again, don't use CQ Researcher in your essay. This is just preliminary research or exploratory research. And it's the same when you get into opposing viewpoints. This might be even more helpful, though. A little slow, sorry. Okay, so say you are you're wanting to look up immigration topics. Here, immigration. There's a lot about immigration in opposing viewpoints. These are just overviews of everything that has to do with immigration, you can see. Now you can go back. This is a Gale database, by the way, and it does send you to better sources here. You don't want to. You can find. Look, family separation and detention are bad immigration practices in opposing viewpoints. This is very useful. Opposing viewpoints is another one. Well, this is opposing viewpoints, but look, you found something specifically about your topic: family separation and family detention. It's changing policy, passing the buck. This is just a general overview, though. It's not a source that I want to see you citing from. It does have academic journals over here, though. You notice these aren't just written for the databases. These might be okay to be citing in your essay, but the thing is, I usually tell students to just avoid, don't use sources from opposing viewpoints, because a lot of them are just overviews, and they're not high quality, and they're not peer-reviewed sources. But you can see opposing viewpoints and CQ Researcher, they can be very useful when you are developing your topic and choosing what argument you want to use. Okay, this was just part one of your library orientation. In part two, I will talk about the high-quality sources that you can find through JSTOR and other Gale databases, and show you another example of how you're going to be formatting your research proposal, which is due at the end of the week, before we meet again, actually.